So I think that almost everyone, at least in the US, has at least like a grade school understanding of this verse. Even if you're not a Christian, you probably know that Christians believe we're created in the image of God. But you probably don't really understand the layers at play in terms of what's meant by that word, image. So give me a few seconds to break down the grad school understanding of the passage, if you will. See, the word at play there is tselem. It means a lot more than just representation of, or even likeness of, God. So at the simplest level, a king like, say, Pharaoh was seen to be an image bearer of God, of Ra in the instance of Pharaoh, and thus a representative of that God to humans. So already Genesis 1 is doing something that's kind of a polemic against their ancient Near East context, because it's not just Pharaoh who's a representative and image bearer of God, it's all humans. That's pretty cool. But the connotation of idolatry, of idols, is doing some heavy lifting there that we cannot ignore, because you more than likely, being a Western modern, have a misunderstanding of how idolatry was actually practiced in the ancient world. We think of it as, oh, these silly, stupid people of history, they carved out a stone and worshipped it. That's not really what was at play. What actually happened was a process, say like the ancient Babylon ceremony of Mispi, in which, yes, a god is created and, carved and whatever, but then a ceremony is done for it to be inhabited by a spirit. They weren't worshiping wood, they were worshiping the spirit that they thought was inhabiting the wood, gold, whatever it might be. Props to you if you're starting to tie this together, but I've got one more point. So an image could just be a representation of a god, but could also be inhabited by them in a physical, spiritual, mixed way. And also, where did idols end up in the ancient world? In temples, because people went to the temples to then encounter these gods. So let's bring this all together. God created humanity in the beginning as his divine representatives, as his regents over this earth, to be inhabited by his spirit, with the Garden of Eden itself as his temple, which his divine representatives were to steward, and were also to expand and grow in bringing more and more of the world into this temple of God. While their identity as image bearers could never be removed, obviously Adam and Eve failed to live up to the full intended purpose of their image bearing, of being tselem of God. But now, as humans still have the opportunity to represent God as his images, to be dwelt in spiritually by him, by the Holy Spirit, and wherever an idol is, there is a temple, there is a holy presence of that God. Wherever us Christians are, there is the presence of God as well, redeeming spaces and making them holy. Guys, it's just all so cool. I love it.